Thank you so much, Regis Reeves. And now it's time for Dove Fishman and Myrna Skoller right here on ACIM Gather for A Course of Miracles. And yep, the live stream is up. And turning this mic over to you, Dove and Myrna, this mic is all yours.
Thank you, Lynn. I just heard Regis. He is really very dynamic and very soothing in the way he relates to A Course in Miracles. It's amazing how somebody can portray their feelings, their words and feelings so easily and so understandable. And you see that he truly does get it. And it's extended outward. We talk about that a lot. How are you, Dove? How are things going? So
you are muted.
Okay, Dove, how are you?
I just finished up my finishing up my onion mustard cheese on holly roll sandwich, which I heard that the Brad Pitt's favorite sandwich is an onion sandwich. I said, I gotta try it. It's delicious, by the way. Absolutely delicious.
Sounds very Jewish.
Well, yeah.
On holly
Yeah,
bread.
it is.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. Anyway, you're enjoying your sandwich. That's
Oh yeah.
a pleasure in something.
Yes.
That's obviously making you feel good.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, today's lesson, salvation of the world depends on me. I like that because the title tells me right off the bat that I am very significant in this world and that the world can depend on me. But how does the world depend on me? That's a very sobering kind of an affirmation. Actually, it's a review of lesson 206. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me, and salvation of the world depends on me. And we look at that thought, and it's really something that if we saw it for the first time and not really understood the awareness that we can have just from knowing the meaning of this title. The Course in Miracles says that really we don't accept it. It's a very hard concept to accept because it seems like such a tall order, and it seems like the ego would tell us that's an insane thought. Yet the Course in Miracles assures us that it's not an insane thought, that it's truly if anything, we're arrogant. The Course in Miracles in this lesson does talk about arrogance because if we cannot accept what God assures us is ours, and that's arrogant. And that's really what we're doing. We're refuting that right away. Salvation of the world depends on me, when right away words like sacrifice, well, what do I have to do to attain this? Why would God expect this of me? Does he expect me to become a priest, a preacher, a nun? I mean, none of those things, of course, is true. We know that. So when we speak of salvation of the world, we are definitely put here to take part in that and to accept our part. And the part that we play is through, of course, forgiveness. Yesterday's lesson was very heavily predicated on peace. I want the peace of God. And lesson tells us right there, Jesus in that lesson tells us that if we truly wanted the peace of God, we would have it. So we really don't understand peace. And in fact, it even goes on to say that few people really have accepted peace and understand what it is, although everybody says that they want peace. So to say those words and to mean them is really means nothing, because the words are just symbols. The feelings and the truth of it is what we have to really get down to. And that, again, is related to forgiveness. And again, back to this lesson, salvation of the world depends on me, it talks about forgiveness as well, because once we can truly recognize the magnitude of what forgiveness can bring out in not only in us, but in everyone. The people that we're forgiving are those people that we're releasing from guilt, really, by forgiving them. And we're all created as one, and we all want to feel as we are meant to feel, as one creation. And that is really through forgiveness. And if we can forgive, and that's because we're feeling love in our hearts. And we want the betterment, not only for ourselves, but for everybody else, really, the world. So my forgiveness is very important, because the world depends on me for that. I was listening last night to Amy Anderson, and she spoke about forgiveness. And she has a way of really making you feel just so calm and wanting to be a part of her frequency, which is so calming. And the words that she uses are right on. One of the phrases that she used was, it's time to get off the battlefield. I like that. It's time to get off the battlefield. And we don't know that we're still on the battlefield. We think that we've understood the true revelation of what we're given to do. And yet we don't really adhere to it because we don't really understand it. So to be truly forgiving is to feel it in our hearts, to truly feel it, and to just let all grievances go, not just in words, but in thoughts and feelings. And when you can accept that and realize that you're doing it, then that leads the way to everything else, to peace, to happiness, to joy, on and on and on. Wellness, even our sickness takes a backseat because in being forgiving and giving us the freedom to just expel all that debris that is built up through anger and hate, whatever else we can conjure up, then we can be, then our body, in fact, even though the body is not real, the Course in Miracles says, forget the body, it's not real. And we've created sickness, but along with the healing of forgiveness and peace comes healing of the body, because the body is not real anyway. And the body is just directed by what the mind tells it to be. Tells it to be sick, it's sick. If it tells it to be well, it's well. But not the ego. The ego doesn't understand the truth of feeling. Whereas spirit, if you're coming from a place of spirit, then you can understand it on a much greater level. And yeah, so I really feel that for me, I've come a long way in the act of forgiveness. And I related to what she was saying because I recognize what an important aspect it is to know that we have to forgive in order to experience the joy and the peace and everything else that comes along with it, not just on a level of here today, gone tomorrow. It's here to stay when we actually start to embody it. So I turn it over to you, Dove.
Okay, that was so very well said by you. Thank you so much. And and you kept the same kind of very gentle cadence that you spoke of about both Regis and Amy Anderson. It's very helpful to be that calm and quiet. It kind of like brings you back to your natural self. And yeah, the idea of getting off the battlefield. Actually, there's a section in the chapter she's going through right now, chapter 23, which is where she is. It's called Rising Above the Battleground. And of course, the battleground, you know, we tend to believe, if we're listening to our ego, the battleground is out there. Where I am, it's okay. Well, actually, no, there is no out there. And the battleground is in my mind. I heard Regis saying here earlier, we always seem to argue for our own limitations. And of course, the ego was always into being right. It wants to control. Control means I win, you lose. And that is how we limit ourselves, by listening to this voice of believing in differences or things that oppose it, things that are opposite. And that's exactly what this world is. That's the battleground. The battleground is not in the world, it's in my mind that thinks that the way I see things is better or different or more special than the way others see it. And I'm going to argue for my being right. And arguing for being right is simply the idea that there are differences. And as long as you see differences, you're dreaming. You're absolutely dreaming, because in reality, differences there are no differences in reality. Differences do not exist in reality. You can go back to that place in the course where it says, I can sum up this entire course for you in a few lines. What's real can't be threatened. In other words, what is the same is always the same, can't change, not different. It's always perfect, exactly the way it is. And what's unreal, which is a world of differences, doesn't even exist. Differences do not exist in reality. And it's in this willingness to let go of the belief in differences that I can return my mind to peace. So today's lesson, it's a review of lesson 186. I make a difference in the world of what does the lesson say?
The lesson here, today's lesson, I am not a body, I am free, for I'm still as God created me. Salvation of the world depends on me.
Yeah, okay. The salvation of the world depends on me. So how is that possible? The salvation of the world depends on me. It means that I'm going to return my mind to a peaceful place where I am at one with all, instead of being different or opposing or opposite of my brother who is one with me. That's how the salvation of the world depends on me. It's my willingness to remember what is my purpose. My purpose is to remember the truth, and truth is oneness, sameness. The idea that I can be different, special, more, better, different is actually something that is impossible in reality. Reality is we are one. So truth is simply the recognition of this oneness. That's why the salvation of the world depends on me. Yeah. So I can't really think of much more to say, so I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, I am not a body, I am free, for I'm still as God created me. That seems to be a big review here for the whole week. I am not a body, I am free. And I see that. And for years, every time I have a difficulty, I have a fearful thought, I get into a place of, just fear. I recite that affirmation, and I got to tell you, it always works. It just goes away. I close my eyes and I repeat that. I've repeated it in my sleep, actually. I think I've dreamed those words. I am not a body, I am free, for I'm still as God created me. I mean, that is all telling right there. And that, we're not a body. Well, then what are we? If I'm not a body and I'm free of my body, then I'm strictly spirit. I have to be, as God created me in spirit. So that in itself, the lessons that keep repeating that is for a reason. The reason is, get that you're not a body. And if we can come to terms with the fact that we're not a body, then why do we have to hold all those problems, all those situations, all those nothingness ideas really that cause us pain, and we hold on to those. And if we're not a body, we recognize that we don't have to place so much emphasis on the importance of the body, because the body is just the body. God doesn't even know the body. God only knows us as He created us, and so the body is separate and apart from God. And so I really try to resonate with that. And I truly do believe that sickness is related, but it obviously is of the body, but the mind creates it. I think any sickness, anything at all, no matter what it is, somehow began with a thought in the mind and just manifested into that. And we can also release ourselves. Sickness is not real. We created that idea, and it doesn't mean that we don't have compassion for somebody that is sick. Of course we do, because that's where kindness and forgiveness comes in, to give that feeling, over to the person that is sick. The compassion can be very healing in itself, and so it's really a very interesting subject when you think about it. I'm not a body, and yet, I think I'll probably hold on to my body. Is the vanity in me seems to be something that's been lifelong, and I kind of laugh at it a little bit. I've given up a lot of it, I guess, in recent years, since I try to tell myself that there were more important things than to worry about, how you look today, or what you're going to wear, or what you're going to hold on to, or what you're going to believe is the importance that the ego gives. What does the ego gives the importance to possessions and things that we hold on to, and none of those things really make us happy, and none of those things make us peaceful or make us feel peaceful. We can only feel that way if we don't judge ourselves so harshly. I do, and we spoke about that last night, actually, with Amy Anderson. That we just really have to let go. We have to forgive ourselves first. And if we can forgive ourselves, because sometimes I find that I'll say to myself, here I am, I just beat myself up. Would I do to another person what I just did to myself? Never. So I know that I'm much more difficult or not difficult, but placed difficulties within myself, within my own thought system, where I don't need to hold on to anything that doesn't give me peace. And forgiveness of the self does bring peace. So I try to give up the thoughts of not forgiving myself. Last night, in last night's meeting with Amy Anderson, I think it was one of the, I don't remember her name, but she was one of the participants last night, really. And she said that she spent years, what was her name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, yes. How it took her so many years to learn to forgive herself. And that she held on to unforgiveness for so long, and it was against herself more than anything. Listen, we've all treated people in ways that we're not proud of. We've all been sorry, regretful. I certainly can look back and recognize that there were people that I perhaps was not that nice to. And if we hold on to that, hold on to it and keep that feeling that we're guilty of hurting someone, then how can we be free, really? So it's a matter of letting that go. That is such an important aspect of healing. Healing the mind is to let go of any type of regret and realize that the Course in Miracles stresses that there's only now, and there is where we have to learn to stay. And we allow our mind far too much mind wandering, and the mind wandering only brings us to places that are not pleasant, and that we have to reel in that those thoughts and those thoughts about ourselves that are not yet healed. And that too takes compassion for ourselves. But that was very touching. She was, I think last night's talk really kind of alleviated a lot of that in her and in me as well. I really got a lot out of that. I liked, again, you mentioned, the battleground. The battleground is, yes, we don't have to be in the battleground. The battleground is really what we created within ourselves. And it's time to release ourselves from the battleground, as she said. I'm going to read from my book, if that's okay. Today, Salvation of the World Depends on Me. When I did the book, I asked Jesus to speak to me about this. And this is what I wrote. God, your Father, gave you all you could ever need as you walk the world with him beside you. With his gifts, you are secure within yourself, happily fulfilling your purpose. His love ingratiates you as a beloved soul extended of him. Your creation is not an obstacle that must be overcome, but a gift to be received in gratitude. God's only purpose for you is that you awaken to the reality of his peace. His gift of peace is delivered to you on the wings of angels to be shared as it is given. Accept your purpose and know that you are God's creation, and creation being of God is you. Therefore, salvation of the world does depend on you. His gifts given to you in love do not weigh heavily upon your shoulders. The weight of God's expectations is feather light and easily held. God gives you this work not to saddle you with responsibilities, but instead to cast aside all your worries and make you free. Nothing is unresolved. All regrets are now lifted. Nowhere can the weight of the world be too heavy for you to bear. Like a feather, it is weightless. How easy it is to walk with him as you cross over to a new reality, one which will gift you with all that is yours. Always know that love and peace are your Father's gifts, releasing you from worldly sorrows. You are no longer hidden in a dark and dreary world. Your place is with God and nowhere else. So this expands that thought, the idea, salvation of the world depends on me. God didn't give us anything that's too heavy for us to carry. God only gave us what really is really easy when we think about it. So giving us the salvation of the world, which is our purpose, telling us that that is our purpose, it's really pretty easy when we don't regard it as something that we can't do. I can't forgive that person. I just can't forgive that person. And that comes up a lot, right? That doesn't come up for me anymore. It did at one point in my life. And by not forgiving that person or people or incident or situation, it makes this a very difficult job indeed. Yes, it is heavy. It is a heavy load to carry when you're carrying the weight of guilt and not being to let go, and not allowing yourself the freedom of forgiveness. I think about my daughter. I didn't intend to even bring her up, but she's definitely very much a part of my situation. She's angry. And this has been going on for 30 years. And finally, I call her, and I have to call her 2 or 3 times before she calls me back. And I'm not angry at her, although I would love her to kind of straighten up and not be angry at me and other people in the family as well. But she doesn't understand that. And all I can do is extend my love. And how do I do it? I don't call her anymore. I just text her. I text her all the time. Tell her I love her. Tell her she's in my thoughts. And for me, it works. Whether or not that means I haven't forgiven her because I'm not calling her and I'm not, I'm just letting her go at this point. I've given up in a way, but yet I haven't. I've given up on her. I see her as a pure and precious soul, but at the same time, that's how I'm dealing with it. I hope I'm doing the right thing. Anyway, I'm trying to get back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And if you're at peace with something, you're doing the right thing. And I saw that smile on your face, and you're certainly contributing to the healing simply by being your natural, peaceful, helpful, smiling self, and not taking it seriously. Every new generation comes up and has their own lessons to learn. As Gibran said, their lessons are not your lessons, and you can only honor whatever it is that they are going through. I kind of found this thing. I'll post it on the board here on the chat, and maybe I'll put it in the room as well. I'll just put it up. It comes from the Antichrist, which is about finding idols in this world, and it doesn't matter what you call an idol. An idol is simply something that its purpose to distract you from the truth of what you are is so invisible. You actually think it's going to give you something that's going to give you more than others. So it says the world believes in idols. No one comes unless he's worshiped them, and still attempts to seek for one that yet might offer him a gift reality does not contain. So if you're here in a body form, which means that you believe in differences and separation, you must be worshiping idols. And what is an idol? It's simply an idea whose purpose is so obscure you don't even know you're worshiping it, and makes the mind that believes it lacks want something more, something better. Like children want something more than their parents. Almost every generation says, well, I want something more. And my parents missed the boat, but I'm not going to miss the boat. First of all, there is no boat. There is no world. You got to laugh. But as long as you think that you found something, you're worshiping an idol. So it goes on to say, no one comes unless he worships them and still attempts to seek for one that might offer a gift that reality does not contain. So that's how you come here. I mean, what God creates wasn't enough. I kind of see that I'm in competition with my father, and I don't want him to think that what he gave me was enough. So as he tells you in lesson 190, you paid a handsome ransom to keep looking for things that you think are going to make you happy, even though you chose to be unhappy. And you did all of this to deny your father the the glory of enjoying his son's love, his son's happiness. And remember lesson 66, my function and my happiness are one and the same. You know, what is it that I need to do to be happy? Nothing. I am the happiness that God created. God's will for me is perfect happiness, and I share his will. But as soon as you think there's something else, you think you have another will. The idea that I have a separate will is how we wind up in a place called Earth, third planet from the sun, and is a place where everybody thinks that their way of doing it is the right way, and others are wrong. So as some people like to call it, this is planet madness. It is madness to think that you found a better way and others don't have it. Whatever is real is shared by all equally, and whatever is unreal, you think that you have a corner on that market, and oh, if others only knew what I had, they'd be happy too. So I have something that's valuable. And he tells you in my birthday lesson, lesson 133, no, what's valuable belongs to all equally. If you think you have something that others don't have, whatever it is, it has no value whatsoever. You've been lied to. You're pretending that you have something that is unique and better than others. And there's no such thing as better than others. What is one is one. It's not two. I'll just read the rest of this. It says, it must be more. And the word more is the idol. The thing that you idolize in this world is the idea that I can have more of it. I don't care how much I have, I need more. And, you know, that kind of speaks to why no matter what people have, it's not enough, that they have to do more. So it does not really matter more what, more beauty, more intelligence, more wealth, or even more affliction, more pain. I don't care as long as I have more. But more of something is an idol for insanity. That's exactly what it is. So with that, I'll turn the mic back on over to you, dear.
Yeah, you said my function and happiness are one and the same. My function and happiness are one and the same. Yes, exactly. And my function is to be happy. So why would we want to deny that? Why would we want to come away from that when our function is strictly to be happy? And, you know, and that's our salvation of the world. You know, the salvation is to bring happiness to the world. And that's truly our functions. And when we realize that, why wouldn't we want to try to find happiness in the right places? And we want it. We just don't know that it's there. And on some level, the ego doesn't want it because it seems that we're giving up too much. Like you said, you know, we want to be unique and better than others. And we can't give that up because we want to keep that. We want to stay in that place of being unique and better than others and wanting to stay in that, you know, keep on the throne, so to speak. We want to sit on the throne and don't want to be pushed off of it. And that's ego all over again. And certainly that is not going to bring us peace and happiness for sure. I was talking to Susan Michelle yesterday on Pal Talk on Zoom, and she uses a phrase, you have to own the pain. I really understood that owning your pain is to know that when you're in pain, for whatever reason, that nobody else is responsible for it. Owning your own pain. That's something that my daughter has not yet learned to do, to own the pain. And that's really all it takes. Just, recognize that anything that disrupts your peace, which is pain. If you're not in peace, then you're in pain, or you're not in love, you're in fear. So anything other than what is your function, which is to adhere to all of this, is really not going to put you on the path to wholeness, to the path to walking with God as we are created to do. I mean, we're created to be in that realm of happiness, and to keep the happiness is something we need to practice, something we need to know is there for us to have. And for me, how do we get out of the pain? I'm talking about any pain at all. For me, I find that any of the affirmations of A Course in Miracles works beautifully. Any prayer works. Anything that takes you away from the ego's dictates and brings you into a realm of truth, of happiness, of where you really belong, where we created to be, where we are, what we're supposed to be. And we think that our home is really what we created, the home that we made. But the Course in Miracles has told us, Jesus in the Course in Miracles has emphasized that we really are aliens here, and we on some level we recognize that we really don't belong in this world. We belong in spirit. We belong in heaven where we were created, and this is a world that we've created, which is we try to find happiness in it. We try to find the reason that we're whatever we try to believe that the world can give us does not exist here. It just doesn't. And we try to find it, and we chase our tail, and we go around in circles. But the only truth and the true happiness is to not believe, not place ourselves in the world, or I should say, not be of the world. Yes, we're in the world, and we have to live in the world, and we are human. We have to use words. We have to use symbols, as the Course in Miracles puts it. We have to go about our business. We have to go from place to place. So you do live in the world, but there's a part of us that does not have to live in the world. The part of us that we can recognize is the part that we can give up. We don't think of it as such an impossible ordeal. It's not really. It's something that can be done. I know that I think that students of A Course in Miracles, we try to, we sit here and we talk about it. I think if we're doing this at this point, we're ready to take on the responsibility. And that is to know that what exists for us is not within the confines of the world. It is through the understanding that we are spirit, to try and remain in that place and not look for something more. True happiness is when we recognize that we have it, and that's where I think we need to study. Like the song, I ain't gonna study one no more. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I'm going to add the end of that paragraph. Somehow I realized it was cut off, and it makes sense when you add the rest of the paragraph. Yeah, the reason we keep coming here is that we believe that we have been left out. We've been locked out. We've been cheated. We're ignored. We don't have. We lack. We have lost. And of course, all of that is true. All that we have lost is remembering the truth about ourselves. But the truth can never be lost. But why we come here is that we think that we lack, and lack is the idea that I need more. And I'm just going to go back and start where it left off. It says, but more of something is what an idol is for. So we do worship idols. The idol is not what you think it is. Like I used to think an idol, well, money is an idol, or, whatever it is that, no. The idol that we are not aware of is we want more of whatever it is that we think is going to make us happy. Of course, we chose to be unhappy. That's the joke. And now we want to find something that's going to make us happy. That's impossible. Impossible. So it says that's what more is for. It's for finding something that's going to give you more happiness, which right now you seem to think that more will give you something that you don't have. And then it says, but when one fails, another will take its place with the hope of finding more of something else. So sooner or later, every road in this world leads to a dead end. I mean, so he says, okay, do you want to try another road? How many roads do you want to, how many paths do you want to try? They all lead to the same place. There's nothing here. You're looking for something that doesn't exist. It only exists at home where you live now, thinking that you're in exile, but you're really dreaming a dream. So the purpose of this course is not to remember the truth. The purpose of this course is to wake up from the dream of the belief that I need something that I don't have. And I'm going to keep looking until I find it. And as he says, every road leads to the same place. It leads to a dead end. And I'm going to post this also in the room, so everyone in the room can also see the same thing. Okay, so it goes on to say, when one fails, another takes its place with the hope of finding more of something else. And then he says, be not deceived. This whole world is nothing more than a deception. What fools we are who set out to deceive. Who sets out to deceive can only deceive himself. And we have made this world of differences in the belief that we could deceive God, that we were better. But the only one that was deceived was us, because what God creates is himself. He doesn't know of anything more, better, different, only knows what love is. If you think that you lack love, then you must live in fear. And fear says, well, I'll find it sooner or later. I'll find the magic formula. I'll find the magic potion, but there is no magic. The miracle is that you're doing this to yourself. That's the only miracle that this course really offers, is the secret of salvation, is I'm doing this to myself. As Kenny Rappling says, don't look at it the way you set it up. Look at it the way it is. It is what I made of it, nothing more, nothing less. And then it goes on to say, be not deceived by forms that something takes. So all we do is keep looking for a better form, a better way. There's no such thing as a better way. The only way is to wake up. That's what the happy dream is. The happy dream is knowing that you're dreaming. And idol is a means for getting more. And yes, in this world, we worship idols. And it's this that is against God's will. Now, if it's against God's will, it's also against our own will. And we wonder why we suffer. We wonder why we go through pain. We wonder why things seem to not give us what it is that we want? Well, because it's against our own will. Our will is the same as God's will. God's will for me is perfect happiness. And I say, no, I'll find another way to be happy. There's no such thing as another way. It's my will to be happy. And with that, I'll turn that mic back on over to you, Myrna.
Yeah. You put the whole Course in Miracles, in a and really together as to what the Course in Miracles is all about. You mentioned that we talk about dreaming a dream. Really, we're in a dream, and that's a hard concept to accept. But it wasn't for me. I know even before I picked up the Course in Miracles in 1991. That concept was something that I had thought about, that we have to be in a dream. I think that's why the Course in Miracles came to me, because I could accept that concept. We are living a dream. It's not real. When we can see that we're in a dream, and everything that and we have to be in a dream if everything that we see is created by our thoughts, and the body's eyes really have created the whole stage set, everything. And we're living a dream. We're living where we're writing the script. We're acting out the script. We're setting, the stage set. Also, our home really is a stage set. And so when we can recognize that's the truth, really, the ego, of course, refutes that. And we can speak to each other on that level, because once we can accept that it's all a dream, and that anything that happens really that we created, that's not real, is part of that dream. And God knows that we're in a dream. And that's why we're given remedies like the Course in Miracles, so that we can see that if we're in a dream, then let's just try to get out of the dream and get back to where we really are meant to be. And where are we meant to be? We're meant to be, truthfully, in the place that we're most comfortable in. We hear words like heaven. We hear words, the Course in Miracles speaks of heaven, but what is heaven? Heaven is something that, unless we're there, I guess we can only imagine what it is. But I think that we do have a memory of heaven, have memory of God. And by those snippets of memory, I think kind of gives us a chance to contemplate and recognize that that there is a far greater place than the place that we made. And the place that we made is the smallness, the littleness of who we really think we are. We're so much grander and so much greater than the world's experience leads us to believe. We're so much more than that. And just to see that, to know that that God is beside us, that God has a well-being, has, as Susan Michelle has put it, God has our back. God only wants happiness for us, because that's all God is. And why, recognizing that we are dreaming and seeing, that's why I think we're forgiven for our sins, because they don't mean anything. That we're in the dream, and we condemn ourselves for the dream, for the unforgiveness, for the things that occur. And the Course in Miracles says that you haven't committed any sins. If anything, they're just mistakes. And we can believe that, then nothing else really matters, because now we can recognize that we are of God, and we're in that place where we belong. I turn it over to you.
Okay. Yeah, actually, you were talking about what is heaven, and in 2 days, we're on lesson 188. And in lesson 188, you might want to read it from your own book, but is the peace of God is shining in me now. And he starts off, he says, why wait for heaven? In other words, he's saying, you never left heaven. What is heaven but an awareness of perfect oneness? It goes on to say, those who seek the light are merely covering their eyes. The light is in us now. Enlightenment is a recognition, it's not a change. So it's to recognize that we never left. It's impossible to leave oneness. There's nothing outside of oneness. Well, that you can dream there is. And, I could read the rest of the paragraph. It's very quick. Light is not of this world, but you do bear the light in you who are alien. You're an alien in this world, but you bring the light with you. So that's why when he gets to lesson 200, he says, there is no peace but the peace of God. If you keep looking for the peace and the light in this world, you're not going to find it. But if you look within, that's where it is. And then he says, come home. Just come home means that stop looking for what doesn't exist. Look truly at who you truly are, and you are at home in heaven now. Heaven is simply an awareness of perfect oneness. My brother, my Father, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, we are all one and the same. There's no differences. There's no Holy Trinity in heaven. On the same kind of thought system, I was listening just before we got here to do the lesson. I was listening to this talk on artificial intelligence. And of course, people look at artificial intelligence as, well, it's going to give us something that we never had before. And they're talking about how companies are going to prosper big time by charging like $20 or $30 a month to listen into, tune into their artificial intelligence. And it came to me that what do you think the world is? The world that we made is artificial intelligence. We would like to think that our intelligence is natural human intelligence. And what is a human? But what is a human but something that sees that it's better, more different? That's artificial intelligence. And this is what we call normal. And now the new artificial intelligence, which is supposedly going to be even more intelligent than humans, it's the same thing. It's not real. In reality, there is no need for intelligence. Intelligence is just another word for information, and that has the word form in it. As Eckhart Tolle says, you don't need more form. You don't need more information. All you need is to remember the truth of what you are. You are what you're looking for. And with that, I'll turn it back on over to you, dear.
I like that you mentioned artificial intelligence. I had sent you a video of this robot the Israelis created, artificial intelligence. And, you look at it and it's made to fight and you think, oh my God, this is, this thing, what is it going to do? But you had said something that really gave it food for thought. You said to me, yeah, why fight? Because let's send the robots into war to fight. I like that. That really made me laugh because that's true. Maybe that's what the purpose of this robot is: create an army of robots and just send them in. And anyway, you're right. What is artificial? We have to laugh at that because why do we need all of this stuff? Why do we need artificial intelligence? For what reason? How much technology do we really need? It just becomes more and more and more complicated. The world is becoming a more complicated place in many ways as a result. You know, I used to call Amazon if I needed something, you know, so get something, just a question, whatever it is, there'd be a live voice on the other end. Now you have to put in, I don't know, your password, and then you have to wait for the code to come through on your cell phone, and you can't find the code, and the person won't talk to you. And, you know, it's, like you say, you have to laugh. You have to really laugh because it's supposed to make sense, and none of it really does. You know, you make a call today. Do we really speak to anybody? No, you're speaking to a robot. Although, let me tell you, I think the best invention, the best robotic invention in the world is the maps, Waze, Google Maps. I can go anywhere now. I have the worst sense of direction in the world, and without that, I'd be completely not able to go anywhere because one thing I have always had difficulty with was with directions, but now you just sit back and let it do the driving for you. Go left, go right, the next light, you're there. And so in certain ways, it's really made life easier. So it really, I think everything is give and take. So yeah, that's all I have to say about artificial intelligence. I guess the rest remains to be seen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We don't know what's coming.
Yeah. To me, the world is artificial intelligence. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, the idea that there's going to be a better form of artificial intelligence, that's a joke. You know, that's like saying that the 21st century is a better form than the 20th century. Well, yeah, until war breaks out and people are killing each other. It's the same thing over and over. Nothing changes.
Right. Do you think there'll always be wars, or do you think that'll stop?
No, in this world, there will always be war. Yes.
Always be war, which is
in this world. Yes, right. Because the world was made as an effect of a mind that thinks that it's separate, different, and special. And if you think that you're separate, different, and special, that means that others have to pay homage to you because you're more, better, different, and everyone thinks the same thing. Everyone thinks that their way is the better way. But there is no such thing as the better way. There's no such thing as the better way.
Yeah, but maybe the world will one day. There is no world. We know that, yes.
Yeah.
But perhaps we are here to make the world that we're here really to heal our dreams. In other words, to dream a better dream. You just said that, and that all connects really. If we're in a dream, we just want to learn to dream better. That's all, so that we can be, we can sleep more easily.
When you wake up from the dream, you're already home. It's just like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. When she woke up, she was back in Kansas. She didn't have to go back to Kansas. She was in Kansas. She never left Kansas. That's what the Course says. You never left home.
Right. Right. I love that movie. That movie was before its time. It really, there's so much Course in Miracles in that movie.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, the things that make it big time are just reflections of the truth within all of us. That is why we actually love it.
Yes.
We see the story of Dorothy as our own story.
Right. Yes, and we see the witch as the ego, right?
Well, yeah, there's always something out there that's opposing me. It's always out there that's opposing me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But in truth, there's nothing opposing me except that we dream that we're in opposition to our Father who created us. So there's always something that opposes us as well. If you think that you are different, then something is going to be different from you. Something opposes you. But nothing opposes what is one. What is one is there's nothing outside of oneness, nothing.
And now we just have to accept that with gratitude.
Well, yes, acceptance is the same as forgiveness. When I accept, what is it you can't accept? It's all for you. None of it's against you. The ego sees it all as against it. Right. Because it sees differences, and which we are returning our mind to our sameness or oneness where I see everything is for me. It's not against me.
Right. So let's spend the day laughing at it, laughing.
Well, yeah. If you
Yeah,
take anything,
well-
if you take anything in this world seriously, you actually are listening to the ego thought system. As you lighten up, that's why Ken Wapnick's last workshop was taking the ego lightly, meaning, the ego has all kinds of crazy ideas. That doesn't mean you have to believe in any of them. As you begin to recognize the ego is insane, you start to smile and laugh.
Right.
It's
And
almost
once
like the movie The Beautiful Mind, where he became schizophrenic. But at the end of the movie, he even though he saw things that weren't really there, he smiled and laughed. He didn't take it seriously anymore.
When I saw that movie, let me just tell you, I really realized that we're all really him. In other words, he just
Yes,
of
yes,
what, what we are. I mean, he believed the ego, he believed
yes.
thoughts,
That's
and
it.
we have the same thing. We just don't take them seriously as he did,
Yeah.
and yeah.
As Ken Wapnick says, we're all paranoid, schizophrenic. Yeah, paranoid means I'm afraid of something that's not there, and schizophrenic, I hear voices that aren't real. You got to
Yeah.
laugh. With that, we're at the bottom of the hour. I want to thank you, Myrna, for another wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Thank you, Len. Reminding everyone tonight at 7:00, we have Finding Your Own Inner Teacher. And Thursday, we have deep dive into the manual for teachers at 7:30 on ACIM Gather Zoom. And Saturday, it's another deep dive into the textbook. And I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us, being here. Turning this mic on back over to you, Johnson. Thank you so much, Regis, for joining us here in the Zoom room.
All right. Thank you guys so much, Myrna and Dove. What a brilliant hour. And I'm just so excited. 2 brilliant hours back to back with you and Regis. So, and you just gave me a great idea for a theme song, Tuesday Afternoon by the Moody Blues. So I'm going to end this now and I'm going to go find that song and play it on the radio. I love you guys and we'll see you all tonight.